Emily married Alex, hoping for a happy life, but his mother, Linda, was a problem from day one. She constantly compared Emily to Alex's ex, Jessica, making Emily doubt her place in their family. Chapter 1. The Arrival. She had always envisioned married life as a succession of happy moments, all snugly wrapped in warmth and laughter, much like the pages of some fairy tale. Her wedding to Alex had been just that dream, complete with a picture-perfect ceremony. But no one warned her that her mother-in-law, Linda, would loom over their happiness. The tension started the minute Emily first walked into Alex's childhood home. It wasn't judgment hanging palpably in the air. It was Linda, standing in the kitchen, stiff, her thin smile plastered on her face. "Nice dress," she said, the barest hint of condescension edging into her tone. "Did you pick that out yourself?" Emily's heart hit her stomach. Was it beginning already? She forced a smile onto her lips. "Yes, I thought that would be nice for dinner." Linda's eyes flickered down and then up again, the smirk slight but there. "Interesting choice." As the night drew on and Linda's subliminal criticism perforated every topic, Emily realized this woman would not make life easy for her. She lived and breathed discomfort. But what Emily did not know was just how deep Linda's well of resentment was and how long it would take before everything blew up. Chapter 2. The Seeds of Doubt. As weeks passed, the mask began to fall, and she saw Linda's true nature. She needed to do more. From the meals she cooked to how she arranged the living room furniture, it seemed there was always something for which a snide remark was begged. "Alex used to love it when I made fresh pasta on Sundays," Linda said one afternoon when the family was gathered. Emily had just put out store-bought lasagna. "I hope you're not relying on pre-made things too much. They just don't taste as good." Emily blushed bright red with embarrassment. She had put hours of effort into her lasagna, and now it seemed trifling, amateurish. "Well, I guess I will have to try making it from scratch next time," she replied, though with a little less pride than previously. Did Linda have a point? Didn't she really measure up? But it wasn't just the cooking. Anything she did seemed to remind Linda of someone better, like Jessica. Chapter 3. The Perfect Ex. Jessica. The name in and of itself started to haunt Emily. Linda brought her up every opportunity that arose, always as the shining example of whom Alex could have married instead. "She is doing so well at that tech company," Linda said one evening, casually, as if Emily were having an easy time balancing work and getting a family dinner ready. "And she just bought that beautiful new house." She and Alex were once so close and had such a great connection. The knot in Emily's stomach started to tighten. Jessica wasn't just Alex's ex-girlfriend. She was the constant reminder that for Linda, at least, Emily would never be perfect. Did Alex secretly compare them too? Was he still in contact with her? With every mention of Jessica, another wave of doubt crashed through Emily's mind. But there was something more here that Emily couldn't quite put her finger on. It wasn't just a matter of Linda missing Jessica. It was almost as if she viewed Emily as a threat, some new rival for Alex's love. Chapter 4. The Breaking Point. The more Linda poked and prodded, the bigger the bubble of frustration that filled Emily's stomach. She made herself the better person by biting her tongue, nodding in all the right places, and even attempting to be friendly with Linda using a common interest they shared. Yet everything she tried was going awfully wrong. Emily invited Linda to a cooking class, thinking that this could be one thing they might agree on. As cold as ever, Linda replied, "A cooking class? I have cooked for decades. I don't need a class, dear." Still, Linda had agreed to go, and Emily had held out hope. But the class proved a disaster. Instead of learning and bonding, she has spent the whole time criticizing everything Emily does, mentioning each minor flaw with an exaggerated sigh. Emily's patience wore thin, her smile strained, holding back her urge to lash out. By the night's end, Emily had been humiliated and defeated. She'd tried hard to win Linda's approval. It was becoming well and pronounced that Linda didn't want to be won over. She almost seemed to relish keeping Emily at arm's length and constantly reminding her of her shortcomings. Chapter 5. The Confrontation. After one particularly excruciating family dinner, Linda made a few comparisons between Emily and Jessica in an unmistakably backhanded way when Emily reached her breaking point. That night, when she and Alex were getting ready for bed, she could no longer bite her tongue. "It's your mother," she blurted, frustrated, bringing her eyes to brimming with unshed tears. "I can't do this anymore. She's always comparing me to Jessica, always undermining everything I do. I can't keep pretending it doesn't bother me." Alex sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "She doesn't mean any harm, Em. That's just how she is." "How is she?" Emily repeated, disbelieving. "You've noticed it, haven't you? The way she talks down to me, the way she brings up Jessica like she's some gold standard. Why don't you ever stand up for me?" Alex hesitated, clearly caught between loyalty to his mother and his wife. "I will talk to her, okay? But you have to understand, she's not trying to hurt you. She's just protective." Protective? Emily thought bitterly. It was more like Linda trying to stake a claim, reminding her at every turn that no matter how hard she tried, she would never be good enough for Alex or Linda. Chapter 6. The Art of War. Determined to put the comparisons to bed once and for all, Emily decided to take matters into her own hands. She invited Linda and the rest of the family over for a barbecue. She planned the menu down to every minute detail. This time, she would prove she could be the perfect hostess, no matter what Linda thought. But the instant the guests arrived, Emily's best-laid plans unraveled. Linda hovered over the grill, remarking on the internal temperature of the meat and the marinade Emily had used. "You're overcooking that chicken," Linda said, her voice clipped. "Let me just take over." Something inside Emily snapped. "Maybe I want to do this myself once," she exclaimed, her voice rising in frustration. The room was silent except for the jumping of eyes from guest to guest between Emily and Linda. The air was electric, as though static electricity cracked through it. Emily's heart thumped hard in her chest, and her hands shook as she tried to hold herself still. Linda stared back at her momentarily before stepping backward, her face expressionless. But Emily saw the look in her eyes, quick flashes of Linda's characteristic stubbornness. Linda wasn't backing down. This wasn't over. Chapter 7. Power Shift. Something had happened between them after the barbecue. It wasn't open war, but an ice-cold, simmering tension. Emily felt a new strength in herself, some determination not to be victimized in this continuing battle of wills. Linda seemed to take up Emily's defiance as a challenge. Weeks passed, and Linda's passive-aggressive comments continued. Now, Emily recognized them for attempting to control and keep her son close by undermining his wife. But Emily wasn't going to let Linda win. Then, one day, something unexpected happened. Linda began to show interest in Emily's hobbies, and most importantly, this new love she had found for art. First, casual questions about painting classes, then invitations to exhibits. Emily was wary at first. Was this another one of her ploys, a way to regain control? Yet something about Linda's curiosity seemed genuine. Perhaps they could find common ground. Chapter 8. The Curiosity Factor. As Emily and Linda started spending more time together, going to art galleries and discussing the different pieces they liked, something subtle shifted. The tension was still there, but now it was accompanied by a strange curiosity. Emily found herself wondering what made Linda tick. What was it that drove her to be constantly comparing, criticizing, and controlling? Linda, for her part, seemed curious about Emily. She'd ask her about her paintings, her inspirations, even on one rare occasion, her marriage to Alex. "What do you think makes a marriage last?" Linda once asked one afternoon as they stood before one particularly emotional piece at an exhibit. The question caught Emily by surprise. Did Linda need advice, or was this a test of some kind too? In any case, her curiosity was tickled. She chose her words carefully. "I think it is understanding each other's needs, giving space but showing support also." Linda nodded, her eyes fixed on the painting facing them. "You're right," she said in a soft tone. "It's just hard sometimes. Letting go." The sympathy hit a note in Emily's heart. For the first time, she saw Linda not as this villain in her story, but as a woman battling her fears and insecurities. Was this the root of Linda's behavior? The fear of losing her son? Chapter 9. The Secret Reveal. Just as Emily started to believe the progress made, she was in for a shocking revelation. One evening, she happened to overhear a quiet conversation between Linda and a family friend. "Jessica still reaches out to Alex now and then," Linda whispered, low but clear. "I think he still has feelings for her despite everything." Emily's heart fell as a storm of thoughts cascaded through her mind. Was Alex still in touch with Jessica? Did Alex really have feelings for her? Her hands shook with this knowing. It was as if the bottom was caving out from under her. She could feel betrayed. The following day, Emily confronted Alex. She had to know. "Do you still talk to Jessica?" she asked, her voice steady despite the storm brewing. Alex looked taken aback. "No, we haven't spoken in years, Em. Why would you even ask that?" Emily hesitated, not quite knowing how much she wanted to reveal. "I overheard your mom talking about her. She said that Jessica reaches out to you now and then." Alex's face went hard. "I can't control what my mom says. She's always been dramatic." "But do you think about her? Do you miss her?" Emily pressed, racing inside. "No," Alex said a bit too hard. "I chose you, Emily. I love you. Jessica is in the past." Despite his reassurance, a sliver of doubt crept into Emily's mind. Linda's seeds of uncertainty were burrowing deep inside, and no amount of love Alex had for her could completely root them out. Yet she was determined not to let Linda's manipulation destroy her marriage. Chapter 10. The Unexpected Alliance. Over the next few weeks, the friendship between them blossomed. Finding comfort in the fact that Art was a mutual love, though Emily was still wary, she began to see through the tough outer layer mask the woman beneath. One afternoon, while navigating a local art fair, Linda pointed to one that reminded her of her late husband. "He loved this style," she said, her voice shaking. "He was always so supportive of my art." The softening of Emily's heart wasn't lost on her. "You paint?" she asked with a very interested tone. Linda nodded, a flash of vulnerability crossing her eyes. "I used to, but I haven't in years. After he passed, I just lost my motivation." For the first time, there was something relatable in Linda for Emily, a similar sense of loss, a struggle to find one's identity again. "You should pick it back up," Emily said. "You never know what you will create." As they continued to bond over their shared experiences, the guarded wall in Emily began to break. Maybe, just maybe, they could be above the competition and find a way to coexist. Chapter 11. The Family Gathering. With the holidays approaching, Emily invited her family for a family get-together, hoping this would draw them together and seal the new truce with Linda. Emily prepared well in advance, paying maximum attention to every detail of decoration and menu to an extended guest list. When the guests arrived on the gathering day, Emily was filled with nervous excitement. There she was, greeting everyone with a smile, yet her heart simply raced as she thought of Linda's imminent arrival. When Linda came in, she was commanding, as always. However, instead of snide comments, she seemed genuinely impressed for the first time. "You've really outdone yourself," she said, looking around the beautifully decorated living room. "This place looks fantastic." Emily beamed. "Thank you. I wanted to create a warm atmosphere for everyone." As the evening wore on, there were genuine laughter and bonding times. Linda joined in the conversations, and Emily felt a sense of camaraderie that she had been sorely lacking for a long time. But when Emily thought the night was going perfectly, a familiar name slipped from Linda's lips. "Remember when Jessica used to make that amazing fruit tart?" Linda asked, laughter in her voice. "I'll never forget how she always had the most elaborate desserts." The air was thick again, and the color siphoned off Emily's face. Did Linda think she could diffuse it that easily with such a remark? She fought to keep the smile on. "I'm sure I can make something just as good," she said tightly, forcing a smile. But the remark hung in the air, like a thin remnant of the old competition that lay below the surface. Chapter 12. The Turning Point. As the family gathering drew close, Emily was more determined than ever to take her rightful place within the family. She knew she had to have that elephant in the room talk with Linda. The same night, when Alex was asleep, she sat up in bed as her mind started to race. The next day, Emily contacted Linda. "Can we talk?" she messaged, her heart racing once she hit send. Much to her surprise, Linda agreed to meet at a nearby cafe. As they sat down, Emily was filled both with apprehension and hope. "I think the air needs clearing," she started, trying to steady her voice. "It means so much to me that we found common ground through art, but I can't ignore how it affects me when you comment about Jessica." One moment, Linda looked surprised, and the next, contemplative. "I didn't mean to hurt you, I guess, tend to reminisce. Jessica was a big part of Alex's life, and sometimes I just think about how things could have been different." "Different? How?" Emily pressed. "I don't know," Linda conceded in a more somber tone. "Perhaps I am scared to lose him. You see, as a mother, letting go is hard. I want him to be happy, and I'm scared I'll lose my connection." Emily breathed in, the pieces falling into place. "You think you keep him closer by pitting us against each other?" Linda nodded, her gaze dropping to the table. "I know it's not right, but it's hard to accept change." Sympathy washed over Emily. "I can understand that, but I love him and wish to be part of your family. Can't we work with each other and not against each other?" Long minutes later, Linda looked up, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "I would like that," she whispered. Chapter 13. A New Beginning. With the tension between them finally clear, Emily and Linda started building a new relationship, one that was designed on mutual respect. They began attending art classes, sharing paintings, and even collaborated on several pieces for local exhibits. As the months passed, Linda learned the power of her words, and Emily gained more confidence. No longer was she an outsider but a partner. Still, even with her budding relationship, a piece of Emily couldn't help but wonder about Jessica, whom she had never met, conscious that this lady had crept deep inside Alex and Linda's life. Chapter 14. The Meeting. One day, Emily was attending a local art fair when she accidentally came upon Jessica. Having seen her photographs, she knew right away who this was, and Jessica proved to be charmingly confident. Grace commanded attention in its wake. "Hi, I am Jessica," she said, extending her hand. "You must be Emily. I've heard a lot about you." Emily felt her stomach twist up in nervousness. "Hi, yes, I have also heard of you," she said, striving to sound composed. The longer they talked, the more the girl proved to Emily that Jessica was kind and supportive. They spoke about what they shared regarding art, and Emily couldn't help but feel camaraderie. But as their conversation continued, the question burst from Emily like a jack-in-the-box. "Why did you and Alex break up?" She had no chance of catching the question before it left her mouth. Jessica was silent for a moment, picking her words carefully. "It just wasn't the right time for us. We were young, and he had so much on his plate at that point in his life, but he always spoke highly of you. I think you two are great together." Relief washed over Emily. It sounded like there was no attachment from Alex's past. He had moved on. The fear that had gripped her for so long began to dissipate. Chapter 15. The Resolution. Emily felt lighter on her way home. She told Alex what happened, and he was relieved too. "I'm glad you met her. She's a good person, but you're my future," he told her as he pulled her into his arms. The following months truly pampered the relationship between Emily and Linda. They celebrated birthdays together, went on family trips, and supported each other in their respective art forms. The competition faded farther and farther away, replaced by laughter and understanding. It finally clicked in Emily's head that she didn't have to be perfect in the family, that she was adequate just the way she was, and in building that, she had changed her relationship with Linda from adversarial to companionable. Epilogue. A New Canvas. It wasn't until many years later, at a busy gallery exhibiting her work, that Emily saw Linda standing across the room from her, beaming with pride, a triumph to how far they had come. "Your work is amazing," Linda exclaimed, swooping her arms around Emily. "I'm so proud of you." Emily smiled, her heart full. "I couldn't have done it without your support." As they hugged, Emily felt a surge of thanks for their journey together. The green-eyed monster had become a beautiful collaboration of love and understanding, painting a new chapter in their lives.